I'm using it as a backup system because it was at least solid. It never froze up on me or whatever. I'd have that running Linux, and I'd actually try and skin that and whatever to look a lot, look and work a lot like Mac OS 10, because I always loved the design of OS 10 anyway. But recently, couple weeks back, I sold my motorcycle, which is another thing that I got with that compensation payout. I sold it for a lot less than it cost me, over £2,000 to buy, but I ended up selling it for just £1,000, basically £1,000. There were some cosmetic issues and some issues with it, as I say, and other things. I was originally going to try and let it go for 1,400 or whatever. And then, as I say, when I sold my bike, after I'd seen the prices of the iMacs, I'd looked them up and stuff, I knew I was getting a Mac. As I say, I'd had it with PC things, I was going to get a Mac, try the experience, and at least if nothing else, I knew it was one company for everything. So if something went wrong, all I had to do was contact one company. And also, even if I went into a retail store, it'd be an Apple retail store, I'd be buying from my Apple direct no matter what. So the store was Apple, the support company was Apple, the hardware was Apple, the OS was Apple. It was one company I had to go to if I had a problem. It's not like it was a small store that had and I'll tell you that as well. You go and try and pass this store I'm talking about now. They're freaking closed down, and they never, Barry or whatever, it was the last one, running the last one, in charge of that, store there, Love Branch or whatever. Him, no one else, and never bothered to contact me or give me any kind of warning that they were closing down. So it was me in the middle of trying to get the issue with my PC sorted and all the freezing issues and stuff, and relying on them for support. And I wouldn't have been able to have got anywhere else with them anyway, because the bloody place closed down. And at least as well, there'd be no risk of that with Apple, because Apple, whereas, especially in the PC and OS department, they might not be as big as Microsoft. They are still a huge company. They are not going anywhere anytime soon. So it's going to be a lot easier to get support if anything does go wrong. So I sold my motorcycle for £1,000 a couple of weeks back, and I went to the Apple retail store. I'd sooner have done it like that because it was my first Mac. I could get invited if I wanted to, and because I didn't want to wait. I was a bit of a kid and I didn't want to wait. I wanted it in hand, and I wanted to be able to set it up, there and then. I wanted it in hand the day I paid for it. So, if I ever get a new Mac now, I'll probably order it online because I've already got a Mac. So, I can use my current one while I'm waiting, but and it'll probably be a long time before I get a new one because, like I say, I'm unemployed and broke. But I basically went to the store and whatever. My dad gave me a lift or whatever. With me £1,000 cash in cash. Created a huge wad in my wallet. And went and purchased a 21.5-inch iMac, the entry-level one, the bottom price one that was £999, featuring Intel i3 processor, which is dual-core, but with its multi-threading capabilities and stuff, it behaves, if I boot into Windows, which I'll try and explain in a minute as well. If I boot into Windows, it in like a little widget, a CPU monitor and system monitor widget and stuff, it shows it as having 4 cores. The virtual cores, hyper-threading and stuff. Even though it's a dual core, this new i3 it performs about as well as my Intel Core 2 quad core processor did. It's also featuring 4 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM, like this PC did. Bear in mind this PC cost me about £1,500 at the time. The only thing it's really lacking in well, I mean, it doesn't feature a Raptor drive, but it does have a 500 gig hard drive in there. My terabyte hard drive, which I've used for storage before, I'm using at the moment, currently at least, for Time Machine backups on this system. And yeah, so there's that. The only thing that's really lacking in is graphics. The GPU in this system, probably because it's the cheapest and the entry level one, it has the ATI card 4560, is it? It's something like that. Don't quote me on it, but it's only 256 megabytes of video RAM, whereas my monster PC had featured a NVIDIA GTX or whatever 260 graphics card, which had 1 gig DDR3 dedicated graphics memory in it. Well, near enough to a gig at least. It might have been 800 and something or whatever, but it was pretty much close to a gig. So the graphics card will easily outperform the one on this, pretty much. But otherwise, system spec is pretty much about the same thing, if not slightly better in some areas. Obviously, as well, built-in eyesight webcam and built-in Bluetooth and other features. Probably, like I said, I have so much to cover, and I've just not got the time. After telling you my backstory and everything, and what made me get the Mac and how I ended up getting it, I've probably gone on so long now. You watch, this video has probably gone over 15 minutes and then I'm screwed. So I'm not even going to be able to elaborate now. All I can say is, yeah, I purchased a Mac for them reasons. I've just given the backstory. I purchased a Mac, about nearly 2 weeks ago. Not looked back, never looked back. Happy as hell. I can even run some of my old games I had for my monster system. I can probably not like prices or bits and bobs like that, but some of my games like PC version of Morrowind and Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, Fallout 3, the likes of them, I can install, and I've got Spore as well. Well, Spore I can install natively in OS 10. There was a bit of trouble with that, but I've got it running perfectly now. And then for the rest, I can boot camp into Windows. It's still a Mac. It's still on a Mac. I can boot camp into Windows. I can run Fallout 3 on this spec, on this system, pretty much. I can run Elder Scrolls Oblivion. I can run Morrowind. So there's a few games I can run as well. And depending on the hardware you've got, the kind of iMac you've got, or if you've got Mac Pro. You can run any games. Don't let them tell you that you can't run games on a Mac. Just boot camp into Windows. You can run every fucking game a Windows PC can. Pardon my French. I'm sorry for the language, guys. Basically, since getting my Mac, I've never looked back. I've been happy as hell. OS 10, for me at least, is a fantastic, incredible, amazing operating system. Brilliant. And the only thing it's slightly lacking in gaming support. I can boot camp into Windows and run my games from there. And I tell you what, this iMac runs just as well, runs Windows just as well as my old Monster system did, if not slightly better. And the display, this is a slightly smaller monitor than the monitor I had with my Monster system, which was like a 24-inch or whatever. This is a 21.5-inch. Plus that had a higher resolution that, apparently would have gone slightly beyond full HD. This is full HD, 1080p resolution. The quality of the display on here, whether I'm in OS 10, even in Windows, when I'm running games that I was running on, PC, the display is just gorgeous. It's way better, way crisper, way clearer. I do sometimes during the day get some slight reflections, screen reflections, but I can live with it. It's not the end of the world. I've never looked back. I'm happy as hell with this. One of the best decisions I've made, and like I went into saying before, I just only wish that with that compensation money back then, I'd have bought a Mac Pro or whatever. It would have been easier to upgrade the hardware, so probably with a tower as well. Bought a Mac Pro back then, I would have got way more out of it, probably way more for my money, and I'm sure I'd have been a hell of a lot happier. And if I did have a problem, at least there was only one company I would have had to have gone to. I wish to hell there was more I could say, more I could show you, but the answer is just too long to his question. So, in response to so this is basically in response to John Forlaker's video, switching to Mac. This is the backstory I was giving you is why I switched to Mac. Pros and cons of switching. For me, the pros are ease of use, potentially using one of, if not the best operating, full-on operating system. It's just fantastic. It's practically flawless to me. There's just so many features. It's so easy to use. It works so well. I can hardly fault it. Basically, all I'll do is give it one con. Everything else is a pro for it. But the one con is OS 10 doesn't really support that many games. But that's not even a con for a Mac, because you can boot camp into Windows and and basically play all the games there. So the one con, I'll say the con of iMacs. This probably doesn't count for Mac Pros, but for iMacs, the mainstream systems, the one con is you can't really physically upgrade the hardware yourself. Now they always ship with the latest range of iMacs that they'll have. They always ship with pretty much the latest and greatest, in hardware. Some slightly different variations, of performance and clock speeds or whatever. But they have some of the latest and greatest, running their latest operating system and running it perfectly speedy, perfectly well. Even the entry level one I've got pretty damn meaty, brilliant performance. So it should last you a good few years anyway. But yeah, the only down which might be is, with cost, because when you upgrade, your only real choice, is, with an iMac at least, is buying a new iMac. Now, in some ways, the average consumer isn't going to be, knowledgeable and isn't going to feel brave enough to upgrade the hardware of their own PC anyway. So they'd end up buying a new PC when they wanted to upgrade. So, it's not that different really. But that's the only con I would say, or at least about iMacs. Now, I've probably gone way over 15 minutes here, so this video will probably never see the light of day. I'll probably try and record another one at some point. But yeah, this is J100R. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you in the next video or the re-recording of this one. Thank you very much. And please comment on my video, John, or respond to it in some way so I know you've seen it, and to let me know what you think of my switching to Mac story. Thank you very much.